There was a lot of competition for this rather dubious list. I think Falcao in at number 10, only a loan signing, perhaps a little harsh. We had quite a lot of debate about this on the desk, but he was a flop in that season he was there, and he did cost £6 million as a loan fee. Scored just 4 goals, came with a lot of hype, and it really didn't work out. So he just crept into that list at number 10. Depay at number 9 started off okay and has done great things since leaving United, to be fair to him, but it really again just didn't work for him that year. Like I say, started well enough, but it was clear that Van Gaal didn't seem to trust him once he'd arrived. They had a bit of a personality clash there, and by 18 months, his United career was over. He's been fantastic at Lyon recently, and playing as a striker looks really good, but at United it just did not work for him. Diouf at number 8, a Ferguson signing from a decade ago. A bit of a strange one really, came in from Molde. Ferguson said United had been watching him for 2 years, but it's difficult to know exactly what they'd seen, judging by his performances at Old Trafford. Only played 9 games, but he was a bit of a disastrous signing, didn't really work out at all. Has done okay since, did okay for Hanover, but at United he was a flop, no doubt about it. Schneiderlin in at 7, probably a victim of circumstance. This one, he came in as a solid midfielder, looked like a player United needed at the time, but the style they played didn't really suit him. He's another one who did actually start off with a pretty good impact on his United debut. He was good against Tottenham, he scored in a big win away at Everton and looked quite good for a while, but at the end of his first season he was on the bench in that cup final, and then he barely featured in the second season and was allowed to join Everton in January. Another whose Old Trafford career lasted just 18 months. After that we got Nick Powell. Perhaps a bit, it might be some arguments about whether he features at number 6 here, but he was signed with a lot of fanfare as an 18-year-old coming from League 2. Had a good upbringing at Crewe, had just scored in the playoff final that year, but just did not work out for him at United. It didn't look like he was ready to go and play for a club like Manchester United, despite all the talent he had, and I think that's been proved since with the moves he's made. He's impressed at Wigan in the lower reaches of the Championship and League One, but was evidently never a Manchester United player. Zaharin at 5. Another who's impressed away from United. Looked a good signing when he arrived. A little bit unlucky really. He was Ferguson's last signing in the January, went back on loan to Crystal Palace and obviously arrived, and David Moyes was the manager, and we know that they did not see eye to eye at all. Zaharin's since spoken out about the lack of support at the club and how he clashed with Moyes, and the two of them just did not work together. Been excellent since he's gone back to Palace. Looks like he's ready for another move to a top 6 club, but at the time clearly couldn't under the pressure of playing for United, and also just a victim of circumstance in a way that it did not fit with Moyes' style at the time. After that we've got Bastian Schweinsteiger, perhaps one United should have seen coming this really. He arrived again with, he was a big name signing at the time, but there was a reason Bayern Munich were willing to let him go for what seemed a relatively cheap fee, and that was what they were seeing in training, that his legs had gone. On his day, a fantastic midfield player, one of the best in Europe at the time, but when he arrived to United, those days were a long time behind him, unfortunately. Probably harshly treated by Jose Mourinho, to be fair, in his second season when he was frozen out, but I think everyone from his first season had seen that he just did not have the legs for the Premier League. Bebe in 3rd, maybe not United's worst signing of the decade, but certainly their weirdest. Signed after just 5 weeks after signing for Jimenez on a free transfer, then United spent £7 million on him. Looked like a competition winner at times in his spell at United, a very strange deal. And then the 2 major flops of the decade really, Alexis Sanchez, who of course could still get out of this list if he returns from Inter Milan and has a real impact at the club. Hard to see that happening at the moment based on the 18 months he's experienced so far at Old Trafford. He's been a disastrous signing. Yeah, so Di Maria, number 1 of our worst United signings of the decade. A lot of competition, but I think he was the clear winner. Came from Real Madrid for almost £60 million, signed a 5-year deal and looked a really exciting signing at the time. Started very well, player of the month in September, scored 2 and assisted 2 in that month, scored that brilliant chip against Leicester, and at the time looked like he was going to be a real player for Van Gaal's United, but just fell apart after that. That sending off against Arsenal was a real low moment for him, and by the end of his first season I think it was pretty clear he did not enjoy being in Manchester and didn't want to be there. Left for Paris after one season of his 5-year contract. I think the reception he got on his return to Old Trafford in the Champions League last year showed what United fans think of him. I think although there's a lot of competition, I think he's the clear winner of the worst signing of United's last 10 years.